Hi, hello, and welcome to the video. Today's video is the first in what I hope becomes a series, RuPaul's Drag Race but Pedestrian. So I want to take all of the categories from the runway looks, starting with episode 3, which was this past week, and turn them into a pedestrian look, aka something that not only can a normal person like paint, if you will, but wear. And it's going to be a challenge, so I am excited to continue to watch the show, and as we try to do this week's category, which is METALLICA, we'll talk about the season and the queens and what we think so far. So let's get into it. For skin prep, when I think metallic, I think the Izumaya Skin Lac. It's so pearly, and not only like rock and roll, like, because the category is METALLICA, so I'm surprised that none of the queens went for rock and roll vibes. Hopefully you can see how sheeny and shiny it is. So I'm going to place this all over the skin, and this is pretty much exactly the same as the Natasha Denona like glass skin serum. They smell the same. I got a sample in Sephora, and as soon as I put it on, I was like, ooh, that's Skin Lac. I'm going to let it kind of sink into the skin because it is a oily emollient texture. So already very glossy and glowy, and going to move into the eyes. First thing I'm going to jump in with is the NYX Glitter Primer, because metallic and glitter, they are nearly one and the same when it comes to makeup. So, who are your favorite queens so far? So far, I'm really enjoying Anitra and Lucy and Mistress. They're like my top 3 right now. Right. Taking the About Face Fractal Eye Paint in the shade Refract, and I'm going to paint this on the inner corners. And zoom you in a little, yeah, or a lot. So yeah, right now I'm liking those 3, but I think everybody's doing a good job. Episode 3, they didn't even have a mini challenge, they just went straight into the maxi challenge, which, if you haven't noticed, the episodes are 30 minutes shorter than they typically are, and I am not a fan. I liked the long episodes. I liked the chatting and getting to know the queens in between. They had to do an infomercial about what their version of like gay heaven would be, and I definitely think that Anitra's team with Sasha Colby, who I guess is also a favorite, so I have 4 favorites, was amazing. Theirs was the funniest. Theirs had the the best storyline. It actually was a storyline. The other 2 I really did not enjoy, and it's like, I feel like a lot of that was because they didn't listen to Sugar. And pause for a moment, because I'm taking the DANESSA MYRICKS ColorFix fluid in the shade Nebula. I feel like had Jax and that team listened to Sugar, they would have been a little more successful. She knows what she's talking about when it comes to making little commercials, because that's basically what their TikTok is commercials promoting herself and Spice. So I felt like she was the only one giving good ideas, and Jax was like, no, we have to stop and take down ideas and kind of put them in an order, which is true, but they weren't taking any of her ideas. Their commercial could have went a lot better had they just went off the improv that Sugar was bringing. Like, she was completely living in the challenge, and the other queens honestly should have stepped up. And they're saying, oh, well, I didn't get to say the things that I wanted to say because people were doing improv. That's the whole point. That was the assignment. I do feel like Amethyst is in trouble if she doesn't find something to kind of get her out of this funk that she's in, because I feel it is just a funk. Then, you know, she might be going the way of Poppy. It's definitely metallic. Going to go over the silver with the Bodyography glitter pigment in the shade Halo. Hopefully you can tell how that just amped that up just a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know how I forgot Sasha. She's doing amazing, and I can't imagine the amount of pressure that she feels, because everybody knows her name and everybody's expecting big things from her. Like we saw in this episode when Michelle was just like, you can do better. It's like, okay. And she did, so I guess Michelle was right, but Michelle is really just, she doesn't beat around the bush anymore. She just tells them straight up, do better. Over the gold, I'm going to take the glitter pigment in Sparkler from Bodyography. It's more like a rose gold, but it's the only gold I have. To go over this, I'm really just setting those creams and kind of just adding another texture. And it was super shady, speaking of Michelle being just unfiltered, when Marsha walked down the runway and she was the Tin Man and her nose was silver, and she was like, oh, she got the makeup note but only on her nose, like. And there are two sides of the coin. Some people are like, yeah, you're on season 15, you need to step it up, wear more makeup, and then other people are like, well, that's their drag, just let them drag how they want to drag. So I do think, you know, in my personal opinion, that doesn't matter, that she does need to just put more on. She could still wear the like natural presenting look, but just more of it, like more. Because the camera and the lights and everything and doesn't translate probably as strong as she sees it in real life. So I think she's just suffering from that, and also hopefully her outfits step up a little bit as well. Okay, I'm going to attempt to take this Heaven shade from the DANESSA MYRICKS Lightwork 3 palette. This is just a pressed version of her Chrome Flakes. It's like reflecting off the camera so hard. There, boom! Just for a little bit of something extra. Of course, if you liked how it looked before, you could totally just leave it there. This is a RuPaul Drag Race look. So I am scooping it from the inner corner all the way up to like the middle of my brow. In real life it looks so crazy. I'm gonna try to show some restraint. And I want to do a Metallica themed liner. And I'm surprised, like I said, that nobody went with like literal Metallica, because I feel like that would have been a no-brainer. But maybe they were like, for copyright reasons, you can't do literal Metallica, so who knows. But the A and the M in Metallica are going to be my liner. Use the Plume Science liner, just like a liquid liner. Start off easy by just giving myself a line across the lid. The double premiere, I believe the category was like, I don't know, like your best self or something like that. To show off who they are. So I could have done a look on that, like my everyday kind of makeup look. That's what I would have done had I had this idea sooner and not like 3 AM when I should have been sleeping a couple nights ago. for the graphicness of it all. I'm going to start like I was doing a regular wing, and then give it the little swoop. Like such and so. And then I'm going to just continue that line down straight. And give that one a swoop as well. And if it's not perfect, I'm not worried about it because I still have to do concealer and cleaning up all around there, so that's okay. But that's the gist of what I'm going for. Also connect this right here. So that's a liner. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. The Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. I'm in the shade 1. To apply that with a sponge. So if you watch the show, I need to know who your favorites are. I had not known of Sugar and Spice before this season. I probably have seen a TikTok of theirs because they're like the most followed drag queens on social media. Really quickly, I'm going to take some micellar water onto a brush. Clean up this glitter fallout a little bit and clean up around the wing, which I will like continue to perfect later. But like I said, I had not known of Sugar and Spice, and I think twins on Drag Race is a great angle. I'm sure the producers were absolutely thrilled. The only issue is they really need to start differentiating from each other, because their talent show act was basically the same, and then they both do Disney princesses, and now they both have like similar Y2K metallic looks on, so they're not competing as a team, they are competing individually, and we have not really seen that. I liked that they were on different teams for the main challenge. It is kind of interesting to see which twin is like the mastermind and which one is the go along, or if they both, you know, contribute equally to their social media platform. It's interesting, and the producers know it, so I don't think Sugar and Spice are going anywhere for a long time, regardless of how poorly they do in a challenge. I'll take a fuller coverage concealer for me anyway, and I'm using the shade Fair Porcelain. And over here, I'm just going to kind of dot in the general vicinity of this liner, because I'll need a baby brush to get up in there. And as far as this week's elimination, I think the right choice was definitely made. I think Jack should have lip-synced instead of Amethyst, but that's just my opinion. But Poppy seemed ready to go home. In Untucked, they were talking about how they weren't sure if they were going to continue drag, and kind of being on RuPaul's Drag Race was like either going to reinvigorate the passion to do drag or kind of be like a cherry on top of a drag career. And it seems like the latter is going to be the case. Maybe not. Maybe touring and everything with the rest of the girls from the season will reinvigorate Poppy. But it was kind of nice to have somebody go home that was already ready to go home. And I totally agree with Mistress. And I love her candid moments in Untucked where she's being like, you know, the mama drag queen to them. But she's right. If you don't come to win, why did you come? But then again, you can say that you are on RuPaul's Drag Race and add that to your resume. So even just being there is enough for some people, I suppose. I'm going to take a little fluffy brush. This is a KJH and Spectrum number 13 brush. It has pink on it because it's stained pink. I'm going to get as close to that liner as I can, and that concealer really did set, didn't it? Wow. Went around this inner corner area that I couldn't quite reach. And I put on like 87 coats of mascara, but it doesn't look like enough, huh? Alright, for bronzer I needed something glowy. So a couple weeks ago I picked up the E.L.F. Halo Glow the E.L.F. Halo Glow liquid filter in the shade Tan, because I was curious how this would look as a bronzer. So, glowy and metallic, we're making them synonymous. I'm going to blend it out with a BK Beauty 109 brush, and oh my goodness, I may have put on too much. I need to go over that with my sponge. Okay, that's better. Sponge, help me out there. Thank you so much. Obviously this is made for a deeper skin tone, and I'm using it in a way that it's not designed, so a little work that has to be done because of that. That is pretty. To give myself a little more sculpt and shape, I'm taking the E.L.F. Luminous Putty Bronzer in the shade Vacay Mood. And it is much cooler of a shade, so much more like a shadow. Give myself some sculpting. It is a RuPaul's Drag Race look after all. It's a lot. I'll clean it up. It's gonna be a lot for a moment, but I can always go back and adjust. Trim the jawline. I have a little bit of foundation on a palette here, and I'm going to use that to cut the cheekbone right underneath where that contour is. Just make everything nice and sharp, and then drag it down over to the jawline so I don't have a beard if I don't want one. Right, keeping on this drugstore queen train, I'm taking the E.L.F. Luminous Putty Blush, and this is the shade Bermuda. I wish I was in Bermuda right now. Choosing a luminous blush for a Metallica look, and then circular motions when I get to the cheek, the apple. So these looks are like what a pedestrian, aka a normal non-drag queen person, would do with whatever makeup they have given the brief. Have no fear because more glow is here. I'm going to add the Rare Beauty highlighter in the shade Enlighten. These are like molten. The camera cannot even. And another reason I didn't do my brows is because I'm going to take this highlighter and like straight up into the brow. Wow! I could do the brief just by placing this all over my entire face. I'm really going to put it on the apples of my cheekies, which I would not normally do, but for this look, can get away with it. Insane, but I will take a little more of the blush and just kind of sweep it over. Glowing metallic from within. LOL, like anybody is this shiny. And the time has come to set the face. I'm taking the Cloud Set in Airy by Kosas. So I'm just going to take this and pat it on, setting those under eyes. I'm going to set right up here against the liner. Now that I got close to the liner, I can go in with a bigger brush. KJH 108 brush. Set like the center-ish. Alright, went ahead and applied brows and fixed up the liner. I'm just going to add some mascara to the lower lash line. I feel like I added so much mascara and yet you can barely see it, and I don't mess with lashes. I mean, I have them and I am capable of applying them, but I do not want to apply them. to take the NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in the shade Moonwalk. It's one of my all-time favorite liners. It is a cool tone. It's like a purple gray. For a metallic lip look, I'm going to take the Ulta Shiny Sheer Lip Gloss, and this one is in the shade Honeycomb Caramel. I don't want to mess up this doe foot, so I'm going to take some off of the wand and then apply it with my finger. Ooh, metallic lips, like it's 1991. I want to see if this Continuum waterproof liner in the shade Interstellar shows up on my waterline. And I am just instinctively taking that on the lower lash line as well. Yeah, that definitely did help. I want to incorporate some of these silver face gems from Half Magic, and they're already pre-sticky, so you just take them off and plop them on your face, which always is easier said than done. What if I like put them along? Can't have too much because the category is metallic. And clearly I prefer silver over gold. I have such cool pale skin that gold doesn't look as nice on me as it does on others. Using some tweezers from AOA Studio to apply those. These were $1. I think that's nice. If I do any more, it will get really outside of pedestrian. Alright, I added a chain to my hair. Just more metal for the Metallica theme this week. Episode 3, Season 15. So, I hope you enjoyed watching. For my hair, I went for Undone Rocker Chic, aka haven't washed it, aka haven't brushed it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check me out over here, right here, on Instagram and TikTok. I thoroughly love this look. Let me know if this would be something that you would rock. Let me know who is in your top 3 of the queens so far this season. And as always, be blessed and be kind. We'll speak again soon. Bye. Hey kitty girl, it's your world.